Previously, on Dandies in Danger.
The man standing out in the rain is Nathaniel. Standing behind and to the side of Nathaniel, a young girl.
Curious as to what someone like you is doing just standing out in the rain like this.
I'm handing out pamphlets. Here, take one, please. The pamphlet reads, The Holloway Manor is now welcoming guests to the scenic Fulham estate, complete with the medicinal hot spring fed from an ancient underground source. I really think you could help us, sir. We're in a lot of trouble.
So he actually hands one out to all three of you. Have some concerns.
All right, the magicalness.
If it's an investigative mission, I would hate for you to go alone.
Let's go. I'd love a hot spring.
So you step out of the carriage into the rain, and you look up at this impressive building before you, and thunder rumbles across the sky, so you hurry inside to Holloway Manor.
Hi, my name is Eli. My pronouns are he, him, and I play the voice of Zachary Wilkos.
Hello, I'm Cass. My pronouns are she, her, and I voice Liam Bardsley.
Hi, I'm Chess, he, she, they, and I voice Daniel Pritchard.
Hi, I'm Toast. Pronouns are she, they, and I play Adrian Edwards.
Welcome back, everyone. Before we jump right back into the action, we're going to talk leveling really quick to do our housekeeping. So the way leveling is going to work in Dandies in Danger is that every 3 arcs, we are going to level up. And so that means that since we just finished arc 3, everybody has leveled up. And what that means for us is that we're adding 2 points to our different, attack, defense, all of our different modifiers over there. So we each get 2 points to do with what we will. And we also get to go up a little bit on our HP, so everyone can add 5 points to your max HP. And then for Zachary, the way your leveling is going to work is that every 5 arcs, you'll be able to get a new spell slot. So it'll take a little bit longer, but you'll be all the more powerful whenever you do.
Awesome.
Where we last left off, everyone was standing outside of Holloway Manor. Your carriage is pulling away. The cabbie is making his way back to London, the whole 40-minute drive. The time is about 6:45 right now. A thunderclap rolls over the manor, and the building that you're standing before is roughly 4 stories. It's also got a little bit of an attic up at the top that's a little bit hard to see from the outside. But you're standing in front of a huge building that has grand symmetry as part of its design. So next to the stairs, there's very tall windows on either side on the first floor, or rather the ground floor, the first floor, the second floor. The 3rd story is a little bit smaller. It kind of tapers up at the top, and then the attic up at the very top. There's warm light spilling out from the outside. You get the idea that you are not the first people to arrive here tonight. So I'm assuming everybody would like to get out of the rain and walk up inside.
Yeah, yes, please.
Okay, cool. Yes?
I think I'm going to give Adrian a fright, by the way, just because he embarrassed himself in the carriage and made Liam feel bad. And now he's like, why did I agree to go to a whole nother place at the end of the day?
That's true. Adrian has already had a very taxing day in terms of social activities.
Yeah, mental stimulus. So,
absolutely. That's very legit. So, you walk up these marble steps up to the front door, and who's going to give it a little knock?
Liam's the biggest.
Yeah.
I think Daniel's waiting for Liam to do it, and if Liam doesn't do it in a timely manner, Daniel will do it.
Okay. I do like the idea that there was sort of an awkward pause as everybody is just standing on the landing here in the rain.
Looking at
each other.
I have it in my head that, Zachary is the first one to go up and knock, but, I also don't want to. I'm also, literally holding my character back and being like, you have to let other people do things.
Okay.
Well, realistically, if he would do it, right?
Yeah, his whole thing is that he kind of throws himself without thinking sometimes into things. He's also, I think his mentality is like, okay, let's hurry up and get this done because I know something's up and I know our friend Nathaniel, I was about to call him Tom Halls,
Well,
is in danger of some kind. And he gets so tunnel visioned.
Mm-hmm.
So
Then Zachary knocks first.
all right, then Zach,
All right.
this whole debate over nothing. Yeah, he flings his little body up there and knock.
So after you knock, there's a brief pause. You hear a little bit of rustling behind the door. And it is none other than Nathaniel who greets you. He's holding a broom in his hand as he opens the door. And there's a beat as he takes a moment to take in your features. But he recognizes you, Zachary.
Oh. Hard not
he,
to.
he goes, "Oh, you actually came."
Yes, and I brought 3 others with me.
It's like he's been holding a breath this entire time, and he's now just finally able to gasp for air. And he looks up, and then you see something else pass across his face, a little bit like regret. But then he swings the door up and he says, "Please, come in, please." He's holding the broom and he sort of like doesn't know what to do with it, and he kind of like switches it from hand to hand for a second before just leaning it back up against the side of the room here. And he says, "Please come in. I'm so grateful to have you here. Won't you all please come in right in here to the foyer?" And so what you see as you make your first entrance into the building, the room is tiled in black and white flooring, and there is a grand staircase off to your right. Everything is painted white except for the dark wood railing and the dark wood tread of the stairs. Everything actually has a faint smell of fresh paint. So it's in line with what you heard earlier, Zachary, that this place was recently refurbished. It's not overwhelming, but definitely noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
There is a table across from you with a bouquet of flowers and a little check-in book. There's a chandelier up above you with several candles already lit. And off to your left, there are 2 small cushioned chairs. They're brown and cream striped, and there's a large vase with ferns in between them. Above the chairs, there is an oblong mirror. And then off in the other corner, there is a grandfather clock calmly ticking away the time.
Can Zachary do like a really quick perception check of the surrounding area?
That is such an excellent question, and it is the perfect opportunity for me to lead you into the Arc 4 specific game mechanic. So Arc 4 is going to have a lot of RP, and there's going to be a lot of investigation. So what I'm going to do for you all is everyone is going to get a chance to earn witness.
What?
So for this, what the mechanic is going to be is everyone at the beginning of each hour, and we're going to kind of fudge this a little bit. You're coming in at 6:40, but we're going to count this in the 7 to 8 o'clock hour period.
Okay.
So for each hour, you roll 1d4. And what each of these kind of witness tokens, if you will, represent is an opportunity to notice something. And there's 2 ways that you can play this. So let's roll up our d4s first, and then I'll explain more as we carry on.
All right. Ooh. I don't know if that's good yet, but I feel like it's good. I got a 4.
I got a 4 as well.
Whoo! All right.
I got a 2.
A 2, okay. Okay, Liam got a 3. So you can run this one of 2 ways, but you have to tell me beforehand. What the witness counts for is A, an opportunity for me to tell you something that you wouldn't have noticed otherwise.
Oh, wow.
For example, somebody walking into another room suspiciously, or a piece of furniture that seems out of place, or anything along those lines, a little rat scurrying along the sideboard. So that's option 1, is just I have sort of carte blanche to give you a piece of information. The other option is that you can use this witness to get a success on a perception roll. It's a guaranteed success. So what that means is that you all are free to do as many perception rolls as you want to as you're moving around the house, talking to people, trying to get some insight into their personalities. And if you want to, you can use your witness as a guaranteed success. I will say, if you choose to use it as only as a guaranteed success, if you don't use it up within the hour, then you do lose it.
Okay.
Oh, there's one more thing. So we're going to be going by the hour for this.
Mm-hmm.
If you roll a 1 on your witness twice in a row, so like if you rolled a 1 for the 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock and then you rolled again a 1 for the 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock hour, then I'm going to give you a little dumb luck, which is that you get 1 point of luck. Now, if you roll a 4 twice in a row, then you're going to have a little bit of a fright.
Oh, no.
So you're going to earn a fright because you see too much and you know too much that's going on. So there's a little bit of a balance here.
It's just like Bloodborne.
Okay, so Adrian. So you've got 2 witness. Do you want to put those in my hands, basically, and tell you things that I think you ought to know or might be interested in knowing? Or do you want to have more agency and get to use those yourself to get guaranteed success on perception rolls?
Do I have to give them both to you? Or either way, do I have to choose both of them? I can't do one or the other.
Exactly.
Oh, poopy.
Just to keep things simple. But you can change your mind, in the next hour time frame.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to give these 2 to you for this first hour.
Okay. All right, Daniel?
I am also going to give my points to you because I have no idea where to start, and I would like a direction of some sort.
Okay.
So
For this first hour, yeah, just tell me. Yeah.
Okay. And then I guess I'll see what I'm going to fucking do for Liam. I'm still going to roll for him in case he gets some dumb luck or a fright.
Mm-hmm.
But I already know everything, so we'll see how that goes.
this will be interesting.
Yes. The other thing that I get to show you guys is the ground floor. So, in terms of technical gameplay, what you have is you walk into a room, you've got a staircase to the right of you. Nathaniel is, meanwhile, taking all of your hats and coats and putting them in a closet that's underneath the stairs. Straight ahead of you as you've walked in, there is a pair of double doors. The doors are closed, but probably not locked. Mm-hmm. So there's another room through there, and there is also one more doorway that goes underneath the staircase. So as soon as Nathaniel wraps up putting your wet clothes away into the closet, he turns and he clasps his hands and he says, well, if you would like, you can go through here to the double doors and to the hall, or if you want to go through here, you can enter the library, and then from there to the parlor. We have a few other guests are here already, and I mean, you're welcome to make their acquaintance or not, however you like. There's another door that is to your left. He points to that one and he says, there's nothing really of interest through here. That is just my room. Nothing really spectacular in there. And then there's another hallway through there, but that's just the kitchens. So really not much of interest. So you're welcome to go where you are. We will be having dinner at 7:30. So really you're just in time. We will all go into the larger dining hall. We'll all be dining together. So you've got, maybe 45 minutes or so.
Nathaniel's a mess. He's like, oh, I'm gonna point out the staff rooms to you too. Like he didn't have to do that. That's my room. Like he doesn't have to. Like why are you saying this? Stop talking.
He's gonna take the broom and he stashes it back in the closet a little deeper in where he had stored the coats and everything. And he bustles off down the hallway that he described as being towards the kitchens. So, where would you all like to go? So you have the option of going straight ahead into the hall, or you can go through the doorway that's under the stairs into the library.
Daniel leans to Adrian and says, is dinner included?
I don't know. I would assume so.
I didn't know we were having dinner.
I assumed it was a whole package.
He pulls out the pamphlet again. What exactly is in this package? Baths? Dinner? Are they sleeping over?
Mm-hmm.
They're sleeping over. Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and say Liam and Adrian didn't have time to pack any overnight clothes. It was sort of on the assumption that they're coming here to do a little bit of investigating. But if you want, Daniel and Zach can bring their pajamas if they want to.
No, I think we all just sort of rushed out.
Yeah, if Daniel didn't know that they were sleeping over, then he wouldn't have brought anything to sleep over.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Did nobody look at the pamphlet? No. Because apparently looking at the pamphlet does something to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So here's what I'm thinking. Zachary turns around to the three of you. Is Nathaniel still within earshot, or did I forget if Nathaniel wandered off?
The hallway that he went through, actually, what he indicated is a doorway. So he went through and then closed it behind him.
Did he tell us where the baths were?
He did not.
Okay.
He's a mess.
But he told us where his room was.
Yeah.
I'm glad the guests know.
And he's lonely.
Good man. All right. Is there a map or a directory?
There is no map or directory. There is a small table that is to the right of those double doors into the hall, and that does have a little check-in booklet.
Damn, I really want to retract my statement in saying, like, giving you all the points, but I already said it, so that's too
You
bad.
can still, like, roll and then add your wisdom to things. It's just not going to be a guaranteed success.
Oh, right, I have a high wisdom. I forgot about that.
All right.
I'm
I've
Mr.
got specialized.
I'm Mr. fucking Peepers over here. Yeah, here's the thing. He's gonna look at the check-in book, and he's, first of all, gonna tell everybody, like, don't sign that yet. And then he's gonna look at it, and I want him to make a perception.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's like sign the devil, sign your soul away sort of like stuff. Or at
That's
least
a lot for a bath.
That's kind of, that's like the slight superstition.
Oh, you're
that
fucking kidding me. Sorry. I got a 1.
Oh.
Somehow I got a 1.
Balls.
You're with the fucking 1. With a 1, and I'm gonna say that your social programming takes over because Zach is very much along the lines of, like, I've got to do things right, so I stay under the radar. You're like, well, I better write down my name.
No. Damn it. I'm so pissed.
But you forget to look at anybody else's names.
Ah, balls.
I mean, you
Good
guys
job,
can go
Zach.
over there as well.
Can I write something rude in it?
Oh my god. I mean, sure. I mean, are you gonna do any perceiving on it?
Hold on, I am gonna say Zachary lifts his hand off the page once he's finished signing his name and goes, oh, god damn it, and just, like, puts his hand over his face. That's it.
I think Adrian would be like, what? Did you misspell? You crossed it out.
No, it doesn't matter.
I suppose we should all sign it.
Yeah, I suppose. Can I just do a general perception of the front hall, basically?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not really going to pay much attention to the book. Adrian probably won't write his real name, though. For fun, he's just going to write, like, Lord Fartington.
Okay.
Lord Poo Poo Pee Pee.
Yeah.
I really thought you were going to say Lord Farquaad for a second.
Lord Fartington.
Well, let's see if you roll a 1.
Yeah. And this is just
A perception around the room. Got it.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Modified 20.
Yeah, modified 20. You can hear noise coming from the hall to your left.
Is the
chairs are a little musty.
Okay.
I'm gonna say you don't notice much else in particular.
In the foyer?
In the foyer, no.
Okay. Is the hall Nathaniel left down? The left hall that I'm hearing noises in?
Sorry, that is unclear. So there is the hall with the capital H that is through the double doors.
Oh, okay.
That is where you're hearing the noise come from. The hallway that Nathaniel went down, you don't hear anything coming from there.
Okay. Does it sound like people or what?
Oh, people, yeah.
Oh, Adrian's like, let's not go there. Sounds like there's people in there. Maybe not.
Well, we could check out the library.
I suppose. What are we doing?
We're investigating.
Well, then I'll investigate this. And I want to roll perception for Daniel looking through the book, and he is curious as to who is staying here.
Excellent. Go ahead and give me a roll. We're using our regular success bracket for this. D20, yes, please.
17.
Oh,
17.
If I add my wisdom, it's over 20. It's 22.
Excellent.
Nice.
Yes. Okay. So there's 2 pieces of information I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you everybody's name, and it's going to be a lot of names, and you won't be able to remember them all, but you will have all of the names. The other piece of information that I'm going to give you is that there was a first page of this notebook that has been torn out, and it was very carefully torn out, so you can only see a very fine line of ragged paper. Like, it was very carefully done, but there was a page prior to this that was torn out.
I think he'd point this out to people.
Does Daniel read Adrian's family's paper? And if he does, did they give any of the names of the missing people who came back?
They did not give the names. They wish to
Okay.
remain anonymous.
Then I guess that's
And
irrelevant.
we have not established whether or not Daniel and Zachary would read the London Compass. There's a lot of, like, society pages that they probably would not be as interested in. There's obviously some news about the city.
If it's expensive and hoity-toity, they don't read it.
Yeah.
Like, if it's not relevant to them, they might subscribe to a different newspaper.
Probably not relevant.
It's probably not as relevant, especially since you're in a different part of London, because the newspapers at the time were much more like area specific.
Okay.
And so since y'all are living in a very different zip code...
Then would that mean Zach and Daniel aren't aware of the missing people?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
And
we're not aware of that at all?
No.
So no other newspaper has reported on this?
No.
No.
My family's involved.
Yeah. Oh my god, are they making this up? All right.
It's less... Well, let's see. We'll get to that.
Okay. Mysterious.
Okay.
But Daniel says, look at this. And then he runs his finger along the ragged edge. Someone didn't want us to know something.
Well, that's interesting. The pamphlet says that this is the grand opening this very evening. So why would there be...
There are an awful lot of people who have stayed here before.
At least one page worth. That is very interesting. Good eye, Daniel.
Thank you, I rolled well.
So, I am now going to give you the list of names that you read. We've got Dorothea Crispin, Virginia Colby, Leonard Underwood, Edwin Flynn, Bentley Keene, Beatrix Chumley. There is also Nevin Quinn.
Nevin?
This one's Irish.
Oh, okay.
And then Ida Quinn.
Possibly married.
Sylvester T. Higgins.
Fuck. Yes.
He had... Okay.
Hell.
All right, Sylvester's here.
What is this man doing here?
Was he on the boat?
Yeah, he owned the boat. He purchased the Curiosity Museum.
Okay.
Or the boat and turned it into a Curiosity Museum in Arc 2.
Turned out way more curious than anybody planned.
We're very close to the end. So good job. The next one is Eleanor Audley. Last one is Colonel Marshall Gurney.
Damn. All right.
Is this the same man who was like, "Go writer," to Daniel? Or different colonel?
You'll find out. I don't think you ever found out that guy's name.
Daniel, I don't know if Daniel would remember it anyway.
Probably not. If Daniel is like, oh, look at this, Adrian's gonna see the thing, but also he's gonna then see all the names of the people, and he's like, are all these people here right now?
That's a good question.
Well, it's today's date, and they've all signed it.
Why did I think this was a good idea? Why did anyone... Why are we here?
Well, it's 11 people, and then us 4 is 15, so apparently they wanted 15 people for a full house.
Well, there's... You were very keen on the...
Well, I really thought the
hot bath
sounded nice, but there's 11 other people here.
I'm sure they won't join us for the baths.
Sure hope not.
Unless this is really Grecian in style.
Well...
I suppose... Nathaniel will have to elucidate that for us.
Nathaniel hasn't even pointed out where our rooms are, I think.
No, he said go to the library or the hall, and dinner's at 7:30.
Well, if we want to start investigating, I suggest we do so in pairs, so that nobody gets pulled by themselves alone into something they can't handle. So who wants to take the library and who wants to take the hall?
I vote not the hall for me, please.
Alright, Adrian and I will take the library. Why don't Liam and Daniel, you take the hall. You're the two most social out of the two of us, and I feel you could possibly talk to a lot more people.
Daniel's been forced to talk to a lot more people.
Yes. So. He doesn't like it. He'll have to mask, so. But he can do it.
You can also tell Zachary no.
Yeah, you can be like, I want to go to the library. I'm a writer. I'm a writer. You can do that.
I would.
He thinks about it and he's like, well, realistically looking at Adrian and Zachary, they would not do very well in the hall. So he's going to agree that, yes, he and Liam would probably do best there. So he doesn't say anything.
Right. Well, Adrian, library?
I suppose so, yes. He's a little sad he's not with Liam, though. He won't say anything. He'll look at him a little wistfully for a second.
I like picking up the group.
Liam,
I just like doing new things.
Liam does give a sort of reassuring smile to Adrian as they part, and he goes off with Daniel to the hall. But we are going to start with Zach and Adrian going into the library. Because whenever you go through that door underneath the stairs, you actually encounter 2 doors. And there's no sort of indication about which one might lead to the library and which one might lead elsewhere. So you have a door on your left and a door on your right.
Okay, so when it comes to the D4 that we rolled earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You will let us know when it's important. So we don't get to say like, hey, is there something important? You will just know when it's something. Okay, cool. Mind telling us where the library is? Is that one of those times?
I'm going to leave this up to you two. I'll go ahead and I'll say neither of these doors are locked. So I'm going to leave it up to you to open doors and then decide whether or not you want to walk into the room that it's connected to.
Okay.
Are they solid doors? Do they have windows?
They are solid doors.
Okay.
We've confronted the perennial terror of all D&D players, which is a closed door. Congratulations. Achievement unlocked.
I would just go forward, I guess.
I will say, what you can assume is that the door that is on your right is going to be whatever room faces the north side of the house. So the entrance that you came in, by the way, that we're just going to go ahead and establish, that is the north side of the house.
Okay.
Northside Library. Let's go.
Yeah. So are you going to go through the door? Are you actually going to go through the door on the right, which would be facing the front of the house?
I guess so.
Yeah, I'll just follow him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You found the library.
Fantastic. Oh my god. That's so long.
That's all right. There's going to be a lot of closed doors, and there will be some locked doors.
No.
So get used to opening some doors.
Opening some doors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get reading.
In the library, it is quite resplendent with books. Bookshelves line all the wall space where there isn't a window. There is one window, and it leads out to the front of the house. The next thing you notice, a very intricately embellished ceiling. So there is raised white trimming all around the ceiling that curves into floral patterns, and in a circular centerpiece, there's a framework around a faded painting of constellations in the night sky. You have step stools in this room to reach some of the higher shelves. There's a writing desk. There are pillars around the room featuring candles that are set with a reflective backing to help the readers, even in the darker hours. And it is quite dark. Thunder continues to rumble outside as these dark clouds roll in. There's also a small chandelier and a small fireplace. It's well set away from the books so as to keep everything safe, but there are 2 armchairs next to this small fireplace, as well as a quite novel, circular, revolving bookshelf. It's sort of tiered like a cake, and it's set next to the 2 armchairs next to the fire so that readers could put their most recent or popular picks on this little circular bookshelf. There's a tea tray nearby as well, and in a prominent place in the room there is a painting of a woman with light brown hair and a green poke bonnet, so that's going to be a bonnet that sticks out pretty considerably far, as well as a bright, vivid green dress. There is a chaise lounge next to the window, and a white taxidermy hound in one corner of the room. There's 3 other people in here with you. On one of the chairs next to the fireplace, you see a much older gentleman with tanned white skin. He has a thick, well-trimmed white beard and voluminous white hair. He's wearing a red military jacket and white pants. And he's sitting there perfectly content with his nose in a book. He's sort of leafing through it, and he looks up briefly to acknowledge the 2 of you, gives you a little nod, and then goes back to his book. He doesn't seem particularly interested in interacting. There's also a younger man, a man with dark brown complexion and black hair and beard, wearing a green coat with a little tan waistcoat. He jumps a little bit whenever you come in, and Zach, I'm gonna give you one of your witness points, because this man was leafing through a book and then put it down almost a little guiltily whenever you walked in, but then relaxed a little bit, gave you a very friendly smile and a nod, and went back to perusing the shelves. The 3rd person in the room is a young black woman with medium brown complexion. She has natural hair that's been pulled back into a bun with some curls framing her face, as is the popular style of the day. She's wearing a very beautiful feminine yellow dress. She is also about 4 feet tall. She has what we would today know as achondroplasia. And she is over at the writing desk. She's made herself quite at home, and she is scribbling away furiously into one of her books, and she's got another book open to the left of her as she writes. She doesn't even seem to notice that you've come into the room. She's off in her own world, it seems. So, what would you like to do?
I'd like to do a general perception around Zachary's, kind of scanning for any magic.
Okay.
So just a general scan of, if the books are magic or that sort of a thing. That's a modified 20.
With a modified 20, you don't notice anything unusual with the books. The taxidermy dog gives you an uneasy feeling. It has 2 little gems for eyes.
Oh, no.
And also a collar. This one is wearing a black collar.
Okay.
That one. Is there going to be more hounds?
Fuck. Yeah, I mean, maybe. Who wants to know?
Who's asking?
Who's asking? Son of a bitch.
Oh, dear.
So, if you recall, the witness thing that I gave you is that the gentleman who was looking through the book sort of looked a little startled as you came in.
Okay.
I'm also going to say that if you're standing in here for any length of time, whenever a new rumble of thunder peals through the room, the colonel, his shoulder twitches just a little bit, but that's all.
Did the young man put down the book and go look at other books, or did he go back to that exact book?
He's gone off to other books.
So the book he's looking at is set aside.
Yeah, and I'm going to say, I would like to also establish that it wasn't a very, noticeable expression. This is not something that is oh, he jumped out of his pants in shock whenever you came in. It was micro expressions is what we're talking about. He wasn't expecting somebody to come into the room.
And Zach was the only one who saw this.
Yes.
Not Adrian. So Adrian wouldn't have any reason to go check out that book.
Correct.
Zachary looks over at Adrian and goes, well, what do you suggest? Would you like to go off and investigate?
Have a turn about the room? You like that dog?
There's something that makes me wary of that particular piece of taxidermy.
Oh, damn.
I would just say be careful around it. I don't sense any danger per se, it just makes me uneasy.
Well, I'm willing to trust your intuition there.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. If anything else stick out to you?
Well, it's probably nothing, but someone just happened to put down a book. I'm interested in seeing what they were looking at. Do have a turn about the library. You can follow me or you can look around yourself. I'm going this way. He's going towards the shelves where the man put the book down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you going to examine the book?
Yes.
All right. The book is a record of genealogy. And go ahead and give me another net. Give me another net 20.
I'd love to
Just
get you another. I haven't even had a nat 20 yet, but I'd love to give you
a D20 roll.
All right. Do I add wisdom to it or just a D20?
Yeah, add wisdom.
Okay, 16.
That is a success. Excellent. So you're going to be looking through it, and it is a list of the people who have been the lords and ladies of Holloway Manor. And the record of this goes back to the mid-1600s. And, there's a lot of really long titles, people who are lords of a few other extra properties attached to this. And you see, as the history progresses with this family, you notice that somewhere along the line, the lordship is lost. So the family sort of steps down from peerage into gentry. So that means you wouldn't refer to them as Lord so-and-so, it's just Mr. so-and-so.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And towards the end of this book, you can see the family line ends with 2 names, a brother and sister, Nathaniel King and Tabitha, and then King is crossed out and Blythe is added because she's married. And married to her is a gentleman by the name of Francis Blythe.
Interesting. None of these names were the names on the... But we know a Nathaniel.
Yes.
Okay, so that's really interesting to Zachary. So
I don't know his last name.
Zachary is going to look over at Adrian and point to Nathaniel's name and look at him and go, do you think?
Perhaps he seemed incredibly invested in what was going on here.
Yes, but he said he had an employer.
Adrian shrugs.
Adrian.
Yeah?
I'm going to give you one of your witnesses. Whenever the 2 of you walked over to check out this book, The gentleman with the green coat and the tan waistcoat has been watching you very closely. If you make eye contact with him, he will look away again. But he has noticed that you went to the same book that he was looking at, and he is making a mental note of this.
Adrian nudges Zachary and sort of points with his head to the guy. Zachary's,
What?
Well, he was looking, it seems. That man paying close attention.
Zachary closes the book and puts it back. It's a shame, I'd like to have studied that more. He picks out another book at random and opens it.
I'm going to knock about, as you say.
Be careful.
Sure.
You pull Marlowe's Faust off the shelf, just for randoms.
That's interesting. Now, why would you reference that exactly?
You said you pulled out a book.
Yes, but I just find it interesting.
I like detail.
Faust, eh?
I'm gonna have... only Zachary. I'm gonna have only Zachary do a wisdom roll. And it's gotta be pretty good.
Yeah, modified 20.
Nice.
Modified 20. You remember that Nathaniel mentioned a name once whenever you were assisting him during the fire. And the name that he mentioned was Bush.
That's right.
Yes, I remember. Well,
that is right. It comes back to him in an inkling, and he really wants to reach for that other book again to see if there was a Bush in the family. He's going to go ahead and do that. He doesn't care if somebody's looking at him. He puts the Faust book back and opens the other book again. He does check to see if that man is still watching him.
His back is to you. He's sort of turned, though, so it's possible that he could see you in his peripheral, but he's not looking at you.
Okay. He turns his back and opens the book again.
Okay. There is no Bush.
He...
Sorry.
Aw.
Get it out of your system now, I suppose.
Yeah.
He puts the book back.
The gentleman actually approaches you, the one who had been looking at you before, and he tilts his head and he says, "How do you do? My name is Mr. Keene."
Mr. Keene, pleasure to meet you. My name is Zachary Wilkos.
Wonderful. I was just enjoying the library here. It really is a most spectacular house. Have you seen any of the other rooms?
No, not yet. I have to admit, I first came into the library and I'm always drawn to books and learning about the history of a place.
The history of a place, yes. There is a lot that we can learn from the history of a place. How did you find out about this hot spring?
It was the strangest affair. There was a man standing in the middle of the road. He introduced himself as Nathaniel.
Oh, yes.
Gave me a pamphlet, and I thought, well, this is just the place for a bath, I think. And I brought my friends along. I believe I was helping the man out. He seemed rather desperate to fill the rooms, so, I thought I'd do a man a good turn.
He leans back whenever you mentioned that Nathaniel seemed desperate, and he nods his head, and then he smiles. He leans against one of the bookshelves and takes on a very casual manner and says, "Well, I can tell you, I have been working my fingers to the bone recently, so I quite appreciate the opportunity to get to relax in such a wonderful location such as this. It's a shame it's a little secluded, but delightful nonetheless. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Mr. Wilkos."
Yours as well, thank you. Yes, I agree. It's been very busy. I do accounting at a bank, so I've been working a lot recently.
I can understand that. I'm a printer myself.
Really?
Oh, yes. Just small time publication.
What publishing house?
Oh, it's not so much a house as it is a very independent sort of paper. We go by the Falcon.
The Falcon, I see. I'm sorry, I admit to not having heard of that publication yet.
That's quite all right. I mean, we're sort of just getting our feet underneath us.
Oh, I see. Well, I wish you luck in getting your company off the ground then.
Wonderful, and you as well. Good luck with your accounting. I hope that this stay here is most restorative to you.
I think so. I tell you, it's a bit of a hobby of mine, but I love looking up old places like this and witnessing its history. I like seeing how far back it's been standing and knowing who lived here in these halls before. Sort of a guilty pleasure of mine. I love numbers, but I almost love history more. Do you share that?
I'm interested in all kinds of information myself. There's information sometimes in the places where we least expect it, isn't there?
Oh, I hadn't thought of that before. I suppose there certainly is. Well, this book, he says, holding up the genealogy book.
Mm-hmm.
Very fascinating. Was this the one you were reading prior? Would you like it back?
Oh no, I've quite finished with that one, I think. In fact, I suppose I'm probably done in the library for now, and I might move on into the parlor. And he gestures towards a door. There's another door in this room, aside from the one that you came in, that is on the south wall of the room. There is another mirror over the door in this room.
Mm.
And he says, I suppose I'll take a turnabout in there. Would you like to join me? You and your friend? Is that another accountant?
Oh, no. I'll introduce you, but his name is Adrian Edwards.
Actually, I'm going to give Adrian another... You're going to use up your last witness from me. Zach, you are also going to use up one of your witnesses from me. Adrian, can you tell me if you're coming over now that you hear Zach making introductions?
He's not actually. He hears his name and he's like, oh.
Gonna stand still as a statue here.
Yeah, he's looking at books. He's looking at some books on a shelf. It's like, why is he doing this? Why is he giving out my name? What the fuck?
I can tell you why, but I'd rather have Zachary tell you why later.
Yeah, sure. Adrian's just antisocial.
Oh, of course. No, I like that.
So what you two both witness is that whenever you mention Adrian's name, even before you make the introduction, there's a light of recognition behind Mr. Keen's eyes, and an inscrutable expression passes over his face. And I know that's a little unfair because I gave you a witness point for this, but the witness point is that he recognizes Adrian's name. So you notice this as well. You catch it maybe out of the corner of your vision that this gentleman recognizes you. But he also recognizes that you are not approaching, and
he's trying to play it off like he can't hear you guys.
Mm-hmm. He's not going to make his own introduction now, knowing that you are an heir to one of the largest newspapers in London. And so he just he nods and he says, oh yes, the London Compass is quite well known.
Yes, it is. So my friend says, to be honest, I have never read an issue. Is he really that famous? He's kind of probing him a little. Like, okay, first of all, I want to say I'm very impressed with Zachary, because usually I do not play him like this. But
he's doing good.
For some reason, this is very natural.
Okay.
I think he can't approach people, but I think when he's approached, he's able to play.
So you are probing this man to see what sort of reaction he's having. And this is actually something I'm going to have you roll a d20 and add influence on. Because...
To be fair, he really hasn't ever read an issue, so it's not like he's lying.
Yeah.
12 and my influence?
Mm-hmm.
I think you have very low.
Oh no, it's just a 1, so 13.
13. So for a moderate success, I'm gonna say he's not put off by your probing, but he does just smile and say, oh yes, the London Compass is one of the most famous papers of the area. Absolutely, and it's been around for a few generations now, so it is very popular, to be sure.
He nods thoughtfully. It's out of my zip code area, so I'm afraid I've hardly ever read it. I only really just recently learned that fact, and I hope that's actually an appropriate thing to say.
That means it's in his zip code area.
Oh,
right? That means that Mr. Bentley Keene lives kind of around the same area.
That's also a famous newspaper, so it's not just famous within the zip code. I don't know, who knows? Anyway.
I love hearing you guys talk about this.
Yeah, so he just says, Mr. Edwards doesn't often like to talk about his work, or his...
Oh, you hear a muffled, it's not my work. It's not my work.
His work, or what he is to inherit with me, so it's not often a conversation between us, so I really can't always gauge how many people know about it.
But you two are friends? How did you happen to meet each other?
It's a very strange story.
Oh, I do love strange stories. Tell me more.
Well...
You might hear Adrian cough or clear his throat unsubtly, like...
When you cough and clear your throat, the young woman who is writing at the desk is actually going to lift her head, and we'll get to that in a second. So we're going to put a pin in that.
She fucking launches a book at your face. Good job. Shut up. This is a library.
Shut up.
Oh my god, all of you are so annoying.
Okay.
That hurts, but I do agree with you.
He has asked you, how did you meet Adrian? He loves stories. Tell him a story.
Well, actually, It was a very hot day in Hyde Park, and I had accidentally taken, embarrassingly so, a tumble over the edge of the bridge. A friend of Mr. Edwards had jumped in and helped me and pulled me to shore, and Mr. Edwards was there to help assist me and make sure I was all right. Both of them took care of me that day. It's a bit of a crazy story. I see that, 20.
But
I don't know what that means, because that's partially the truth.
Mr. Keen rolled a 20, a nat 20, and then also has quite high wisdom.
You did your
so, Mr. Keen knows that you are not telling the whole truth. But he shifts on his feet a little bit and puts his hand behind the back and says, How on earth did you end up falling into the river like that?
I rolled my ankle.
Rolled your ankle. And were there no railings last time I was in Hyde? You said it was Hyde Park?
Yes.
Oh. Was it, how strange. Well, the last I was there, most of the bridges, I believe, had railings, so you must have turned your ankle considerably.
Read him, Mr. Keen. Get his ass.
As I said, it was a considerably embarrassing display, which ultimately ended with me in the... Is it a pond or a lake?
It's a small river. I think it's the Serpentine? Mm-hmm. The Serpentine?
Yeah, it's
okay.
Which ultimately ended with me in the river. It was not my proudest moment, but strange things being what they are often lead to interesting new friends. What? He says on his head. What just came out of my mouth? Okay, so I guess he can only be smooth for so long. Good for you, Zach. I love you.
Run out.
Great.
Someone else's turn to be smooth.
Oh dear.
It's Mr. Keen's turn to be smooth.
Adrian's over there just like, oh my god. Glad I'm not in that conversation.
Mr. Keen knows Zach is a lying liar.
Not great.
Mr. Keen will remember that.
Mr. Keen will remember that. But he doesn't press you any further about that. He says, well, I'm sure it must be quite a remarkable friendship indeed. And gives you a little nod and is going to move off into the parlor. And now we're going to jump over to Adrian in this room because the young woman lifts up her head and has turned around quite surprised that other people have entered the library because Zach and Mr. Keen have been talking in lowered voices, and it is quite a large room. It is 30 by 30 feet. So it's a considerable space. But whenever she turns around and she sees new people, her face lights up and she gives a smile and does a little wave at Adrian and then is looking at him. Are you making eye contact with her?
I guess. Like, he notices her look over, and I think he gives a forced, startled smile because she smiled at him.
Are you all right? Do you need a glass of water?
No, quite all right. Sorry to have disturbed you.
Oh, that's all right. I was quite engrossed. If you need water, I mean... You know, I haven't seen any of the servants around here recently, but I have seen a few of them, if you're thirsty. You could probably go into the hall or the parlor. I think there might have been one in there.
I'm quite all right, thank you.
All right, then. And she turns back and gets back to work on whatever it is that she's writing.
But the guy's gone now, right?
He did leave.
Okay, then Adrian's gonna go back over to Zachary and be like, what was that?
That was my best, unfortunately.
Well, look, better than what mine would have been, but...
Well, that's certainly why I didn't want us to go into the hall.
It's a good point.
Right?
Have we learned anything?
Well, we learned that if he's here from a newspaper, he might be investigating something, and he was certainly interested in this book of genealogy, which means he either has a lead, or he also shares my bullshit interest in history. What I'm more interested in is that over there. He says, looking at the taxidermy dog. Can you remind me what the jewels on its eyes are again?
They are garnets.
And it was a black collar?
A black collar, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I'm actually going to give you a little pause there, because I would like to move over to what Liam and Daniel have been doing in the hall at this time. So after departing with Zach and Adrian, Liam and Daniel head through the double doors. They're not locked, easy access. There are a few more people in here, but we're gonna run down the lay of the land first. It is a large, mostly open space with 4 Corinthian columns in the center. There is black and white tile flooring, just like the foyer. There is also freshly painted, off-white, eggshell white walls. You can still sort of smell that faint aroma. The east wall is adorned with portraits of noble women dating back, you guess from their outfits, to about the mid-1600s. The west wall features portraits of men, dating back to around the same time period. Along the walls there are long cushioned benches, and then there's a large marble statue at the south wall between two doors that lead into another room. So directly across from where we're standing, there's a statue and then two doors on either side of that. There are large vases with ferns in them in each of the four corners of the room, and there is an extensive mirrored ceiling which multiplies the space of the room, and standing candelabra which shed light onto the scene because there's no windows here to the outside. I will give you more information about the opposite end of the room once you pass through, but I will say that two figures perk up their heads whenever the door opens and speak almost immediately, looking at Liam. The gentleman is about middle-aged. He has black curly hair with gray interspersed in it, and he has a light complexion. The woman is roughly the same age. She has a fair complexion with a freckled face and straight dark hair with gray streaks, and it pulled back into a bun with a braid.
I bet these are the Quins.
Well...
I mean, don't... That's all I'm saying.
That's good. Your instincts are good. They actually reach out their hands to Liam, and the gentleman speaks, "Why, it never is Liam Bardsley himself. What are you doing here?" Liam is quite surprised to see these two people, but he greets them warmly. "Why, Nevin and Ida, why, what are you doing here? Are you here for the hot springs as well?" "Oh, yes. Would you believe it? We put our names in a hat, and we came out tops in the pick. The wife and I, the missus, we've been hard at work recently, and it is an absolute delight to be able to come here. And I tell you what, this place is grand. We've been around a few of the rooms already, and it is just gorgeous. My Ida here, she had a hard enough time getting off of work. Why, I tell you, I had a hard enough time getting off of work because my mistress, she does have very special requirements, as you know, but it was worth it, I think. She's very kind still, so it was very good of her to let me have the evening off. Oh, who's your friend here, Liam?" "Oh, this is my good friend, Daniel Pritchard." "Why, it's lovely to meet you, Daniel. Mr. Pritchard, rather. I'm Mr. Quinn, Mrs. Quinn. You can call me Nevin and Ida." And they shake your hand warmly.
"Well, Nevin and Ida, wonderful to meet you. If I'm to call you that, then I suppose you should call me Daniel."
"Why, I like the sound of that." Liam turns to you, Daniel, and says, "Nevin and Ida and I, we're acquainted because we all of us go to St. Patrick's in Soho whenever we're attending church services there."
"I see. How wonderful."
And we're going to have a quick pause because we're going to use a witness for Daniel and Liam. You both notice none other than Sylvester T. Higgins, whom you saw in the boat, is standing across the room, and he is carefully watching the exchange between Liam, Nevin, and Ida. And whenever he catches our eye, he gives a little wave, but moves over to sit on one of the cushions, and he's holding a glass of wine in his hand, and he spreads himself out on the cushion. But we noticed that he was watching our exchange.
He wasn't looking at Daniel in particular. He was looking at Liam and Nevin and Ida.
Yes. He didn't seem to recognize you, Daniel.
And he waved at whom?
At Liam.
At Liam. Okay. Had we specified in Arc 2 that Liam knew Sylvester in some way?
It was specified. Let me see. Sylvester T. Higgins is a wealthy business owner and a friend of another banking family, and so therefore known to the Bardsleys. So that was why Liam got the invitation in the first place.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That was...
Says the fucking creator.
Yeah, that was what you said. Those were your words.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
he runs in the same circles as Liam.
Yes.
Okay.
More or less.
But they are acquaintances.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that's something that you notice. And so we can jump back into the moment, into our interaction with Nevin and Ida. And Liam goes on to say, "My friend Mr. Pritchard, well, Daniel, if we're all on a first-name basis now, Daniel is a most splendid writer. He writes a bit of poetry, and he's working on novels as well. He's quite accomplished. He's won a few awards for his works, like The Lily Wilteth.
The Lily Wilted did not win any awards. His poetry book is not doing as well as they thought it would. His novels do better, which is his genuine expression, but is not necessarily what is popular or what people would want to see from him, but they do better. Let's say that the Black Sails won an award for like Best Adventure or something.
Excellent. Let's say, well, Liam will say that, or unless you want to correct Liam.
What would Liam know?
Liam is full of genuine admiration for both Adrian and Daniel, so I'm going to say that he would know which volume it was that had won the award. So he says, he wrote a book of poetry, The Lily Wilteth, and then his story, Black Sails, was a novel, an adventure novel, and it won an award. Oh, I see. So a fellow artist then.
A wordsmith, yes.
Wordsmith, yes. Well, I'm a bit of a songsmith myself.
Are you?
A carpenter by trade, violinist by vocation.
Oh, wonderful. I always love music.
Ida pipes up, oh yes, you should hear him play. I do love nothing better than to get a bit of sewing done in the early morning hours before I go to sleep, while he works on a bit of violin composing before he gets down to the carpentry.
That sounds lovely. How long have you been playing, if I might ask?
Why, for as long as I could pick up the fiddle itself, I suppose.
Incredible. I'm sure you're a master by this point.
Well, I don't like to brag, but, he kind of gives you a bit of a sly wink. But I'm not half bad.
I'm sure you're being modest.
Perhaps you'll be able to play for us some this evening. Did you bring your violin with you? Why, as a matter of fact, I did. Well, we'll see how things go after dinner and all that. I don't want to trouble anyone with the old strings if they're not interested in it. But if if we're to get around to it, I can always do that.
I look forward to it. I hope to hear you tonight.
Wonderful. Pleasure to meet you, Daniel. Good to see you, Liam.
The pleasure is mine. Both of you.
And then they go back to take another turn around the room. They're off looking at some of the portraits on the east wall, so the portraits of the women. Where would you like to go next? I should go ahead and tell you who else is in this room, as a matter of fact. Because they ran up very enthusiastically, and then you saw Sylvester T. Higgins is across the room. There are 2 other people in this room as well. There is a young woman. She's a white woman, but her skin is a little tanned. She has long, black, wavy hair that's stacked into 3 buns on top of her head, with a lovely decorative rose pinned into it, with a string of pearls going across the top of her head. She has also those same curls that frame her face. She's wearing a wine-colored dress and long black gloves. Accompanying her, there is a young gentleman. He's a white man with dirty blonde hair and a mustache, and he has a chin curtain beard. Also, it would be more accurate to call it a kind of a neck beard, because that was actually quite a popular facial style for the time. So a mustache,
unfortunately,
and then just well-trimmed hair on the underside of his chin. He's wearing a blue tailcoat and then a red wine-colored waistcoat, so he is visually matching with her as well.
Ah, like they're together, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They're also taking a turn around the room. So you have the whole room to explore. We can go over, Liam's just going to follow wherever you want to go. We can go talk to Sylvester, or we can go look at that statue on the other side of the room.
So there's 5 people in the room, the 2 couples and Sylvester.
Yes.
Okay. I think Daniel would feel the social pressure of, well, we introduced ourselves to 2 people. We were all kind of loud about it. I think Daniel would be socially aware that it would be rude not to introduce himself to all the other people in the room. Well, he's not too happy with Sylvester, since Sylvester shoved Daniel to get out when they thought there was a fire. So he bowled over him, and then Adrian was like, "That could have been a child," which was one of the funniest parts of that, in my opinion. But
I want you actually to give me a wisdom roll.
Okay.
You do a d20, because I'm going to tell you a little bit about etiquette. So I want to know... Okay. Well, I might tell you a little bit about etiquette, depending on how you roll.
Oh, I got a nat 20.
A nat 20.
And my...
Bitchin'.
Would it be my wisdom I would add?
Yeah.
So you... 25.
You would know from the parties that you've gone to for book publicity that it would be good to approach Sylvester, since you also had received an invitation to his boat of curiosities. So in a way, you know each other socially. Liam certainly knows him socially, so it would be good to approach Sylvester. But you do know that the couple who's walking around the room, they look like they could be gentry. At least the gentleman does. And so introducing yourself without having an acquaintance introduce you to them would be a little bit surprising, especially since you don't know where they stand socially. Like, are they similar to you? Are they gentry? Could it be a lord and lady? Like, you have no idea about that. So introducing yourself in that situation would it would run the risk of putting them off.
So it would actually be kind of rude to go up to certain people. Okay. That's fucked up.
Yeah, no, for real.
It's like super unequal. Yeah, then I guess he would start walking towards Sylvester and he would expect Liam to follow with him.
Liam braces himself a little bit. You can probably catch a little micro expression on his face as they walk up.
I mean, Daniel's bracing himself too. and he's relieved to see that Liam also doesn't really want to be talking to this person, but they'll get it out of the way and then it's done and then they can investigate.
Excellent. Well, Sylvester is over at the edge of the room. Let's say he's over on the west wall, sitting on one of the long cushioned chairs, and he looks like he's expecting you whenever you walk up. He's got sort of a smug face, like he's been thinking about what he's going to say. As you walk up, he says, Well, it is good to see you, young Mr. Bardsley, and who is your friend here? Ah, yes, this is Mr. Daniel Pritchard, a very good friend of mine. Oh, well, lovely to meet you, Mr. Pritchard. What brings you all here this evening? How did you happen to hear about this?
Well, we observed it from a pamphlet and thought it would be a good idea to come experience the first bathhouse in London since ancient times.
A pamphlet, you say? That's very adventurous of you. I suppose I had an inside source, to give me an in to the place here. Dreadful expensive, of course, but I can afford that sort of thing.
Daniel's a little perplexed at that, since he was told it was very affordable. But, observing this place, it does look very expensive. But he doesn't want to really let on that that's the case. So
that's going to be a roll from me. Because you're having thoughts and feelings that are not true to what you want to express. So I'm going to roll.
To see if you perceive them.
Mm-hmm. Starting to get a sense of what this game is, and I like it.
Daniel does have an expression of surprise, but he tries to keep it quiet.
Okay, so I got a mixed success on his sort of read of you. And so I think what it is that he notices that you have some sort of expression on your face, but he's not exactly an inquisitive mind like Mr. Keene. And really, Liam is more of the focus of his attention this evening anyway. And so he turns to Liam and he says, Are those some friends of yours? And Liam smiles and says, Oh, yes, we are acquainted.
The Quinns, right?
The Quinns, yes. He is gesturing to the Quinns. Thank you. Sylvester T. Higgins, I'm going to describe him again in case we've forgotten, is a larger white man with a waxed long mustache. He has brown hair, and this evening he is wearing a dark blue coat with a gold waistcoat, and it really reeks of smoke. I'm going to say...
pipe smoke?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not
like I was in a fire.
No, not like I was in a fire.
so like he was smoking.
Like tobacco.
Okay.
I'm going to give you one of your witness. So now you're down to 2. His coat, while very fine and fancy, actually looks a little bit crumpled in some places. Like you would expect a valet to take better care of clothes for a gentleman who is supposedly such a wealthy businessman. You would expect a little bit better quality of his clothes. So not only do they reek of smoke, but they are also a little bit crumpled. And he pulls up his jacket a little bit to cover his stomach occasionally because it slides down, and he pulls it back up again. And he's trying to be discreet about it, but you could see a little food stain on his waistcoat that he is moving to cover.
So he has not been able... It seems like maybe he had to fire his servants or something like that, because no one has been doing his laundry or ironing his clothes for him. He stinks. He stinks. He's got stains. And he's wrinkled. So Daniel assumes, and is of course not going to bring it up, but he assumes that possibly business is not as good as it could be. Possibly Sylvester had to fire his servants, cut costs.
Okay, so you're making these calculations, and I'm going to do a little bit less talking back and forth with myself from Liam and Sylvester, but Sylvester asks a couple of questions about the Quinns and how Liam has come to know them, and drops the information that he overheard Liam talking about attending St. Patrick's in Soho. But then he changes the subject and starts talking about some of his business ventures, and he will continue to do so until you would like to end that conversation.
Is there anything important in these business adventures that I should keep track of? Any indication as to maybe like why business isn't going so well?
Roll me a d20, and you can add...
We heard of this new thing called crypto.
Yeah, exactly. I got a 6.
A 6, okay.
But am I adding anything?
Yeah, wisdom.
Then it's an 11.
You're a little bit baffled by some of the conversation that's happening here. It's a lot of terms that you're not familiar with, a lot of businesses that you aren't familiar with, a lot of investments that you aren't familiar with. And let me see.
Daniel's like, I don't know what a blockchain is.
What's an NFT?
Liam also did not roll very well for that one. So both of us are a little bit dazzled and confused by a lot of the terms that he's dropping down. Okay. So
we just like nod and we're like,
yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah, wow, that sounds fascinating.
That's really successful, huh?
What the fuck is he talking about?
I will leave it up to Daniel when you want to leave that conversation. And how you leave that conversation.
He waits for a kind of a lull when it would not be rude to leave. I guess he has less stake in it, but he doesn't want to be rude for Liam's sake with this acquaintance. So he waits for a natural lull, and then he kind of nudges Liam slightly because it seems more appropriate that maybe Liam would direct the conversation away. So he kind of like leans into him a little bit.
All right. That's fair. That's appropriate. Liam, this is going to be fun. Okay. Sylvester T. Higgins rolled a nat 1. I did a little contesting roll with myself to see if he would be able to keep you roped up in conversation. But as a matter of fact, he's in the middle of one of these really long tirades about all of the sort of stuff that he's investing in. And then he just stops because he's confused himself. He has what is it in Pokemon? Feeling. He has stunned himself,
given himself confusion,
a
couple points out.
He takes a fright. No, so he stops for a minute and then says, you know what? I think I've finished my glass. I'm gonna go off into the parlor to see if I can top it off a bit, and I'll talk to you more later. Good talking with you, Mr. Bardsley, Mr. Pritchard.
He nods at him.
All right, and then he leaves.
All right.
Daniel kind of is body size a little bit. But he tries to hide it, but he kind of loosens a bit.
Liam gives you some eyeballs. He's like, oh my god.
Thank you for the eyeballs. Can I roll a perception for the rest of the room to determine if there are any other points of interest besides the statue?
Absolutely. 2!
That's not gonna do it, mate.
It's so good enough. Plus wisdom is 7. It doesn't fucking matter. So, all right. Well, let's head to the statue.
Okay. So you walk past all of the portraits and you make your way over to the statue. They're taking a stroll around the room, as are most of the other people in here. They're some folks are going in and out. I think the Quinns have already taken their turn around the room, and so they go back out through the door into the foyer. The other couple is looking and kind of talking amongst themselves at some of the ladies over on the opposite wall now. They're whispering to each other and standing quite close together. As you and Liam walk over to the statue, you see a kingly robed figure with another man kneeling at his feet. The kneeling man has his head bowed down and is lifting up a goblet to the king, and has one hand touching his bosom as he does so. The kingly figure, meanwhile, is paying no mind to this kneeling figure and is holding a scepter in one hand and raises the other arm out across the room regally. There was one other point of interest over here is that over the statue, there's actually a cutout in the wall that leads into the next room. So imagine like a window into the next room, except there's no glass pane there. And there is... It's up fairly high over the statue. I would say it's about as high up as the statue is tall. So it's about 9 feet up.
How wide is it?
And it is, I'm going to say it's about 2.5 feet across, and it's a semicircular cutout.
Okay.
In this cutout, there is a silvery timepiece. Just a clock, really, that is keeping the time.
Suspended in this cutout?
So the cutout, there's like a little...
Ledge.
A ledge.
The flat.
Yeah, a flat ledge that it is standing on.
How big is that little timepiece?
The timepiece is not particularly large. I would say...
How much of the cutout does it take up?
It's about half.
Okay.
I would say maybe it's about as tall as our microphones.
Can I roll to determine if there's anything interesting about that clock?
You can go ahead and do another d20 roll.
6. It's just part of the room.
Okay.
It is, I will say it is quite high up, and it is over the statue, which has its arm outstretched. So you can't really make any details out of it. It is... It's a silver clock. I will say you can tell that was a mixed success, right?
It was a 6.
It was a 6. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's
moderate.
I'm just laughing.
It's still moderate?
The bottom of the barrel for moderate, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I'll say you can kind of tell it has a unique design. It's not just like a regular old clock. Maybe it looks like a little castle design almost. Like there's maybe some little spires sticking up on the edges of it. And you can see that it is getting pretty close to 7 o'clock.
Such a neurodivergent thing. It's like this big, obvious statue, and he's just like, that clock, though, behind it. The little clock behind it. Something about that clock. It's a big symbolic statue, and he's just like,
but the clock,
though.
All right, it's approaching 7.
Yep.
But you counted our witness within the 7 to 8.
Yes.
Okay, so I want to perceive the statue.
Gonna say you're not going to be able to perceive much. Well, go ahead and roll, actually. There is some information I might be able to give you.
It's a 7.
It is quite an aged statue. Very old. It's been indoors, so it's not like weathered by the rain or anything like that, but the stone has changed color a little bit, so it's quite old.
Maybe like 1600s, like the paintings?
Mm-hmm.
Possibly.
Could be.
Same time period, maybe?
Possibly.
Or like way older.
You only got a moderate, so that's all I'm gonna say. You ain't no stone expert. You're
That's
not in
true,
here.
it's
You're
not.
not in here doing carbon dating on the stone.
Yeah,
no, you can't carbon
true.
date stone. There's no. Anyway.
Unless it is carbon.
Roll for carbon.
Roll for carbon dating.
He looks at Liam and his interesting statue.
Yes, he's quite an imperious figure. He doesn't look very nice.
No. Feel sorry for that chap. And he points to the man who is offering the goblet, but bent and ignored.
You'd get an awful crick in your neck, that's for sure.
Crick everywhere. Well.
Would you like to look at any more of these paintings, or shall we head out? We could try the next room over. I think I saw Mr. T. Higgins said that he was going towards the parlor, and he points towards a door.
What about the doors next to the statue, though?
There is another door. There's a few other doors in this room. So there's the doors immediately across from where you entered from the foyer. There is a door on the west wall, which is the one that Sylvester T. Higgins left through and said that he was heading towards the parlor. And then there is also a door over on the east wall, but on the south side of the east wall. And that door is also closed. You don't know where it goes.
Okay, so I know, like, this was like, historically, sometimes it was okay to just like tour a rich person's place and you could just like walk around and look at their stuff. So it wouldn't be rude to not go to the parlor, maybe investigate a little bit.
All Nathaniel said was, "Oh, that's my room. You probably don't want to go in there."
When you told me not that I didn't want to go in there, though, it inflamed my imagination and made me want to go in there more than anything else.
So yeah, I will say the house is your oyster.
Okay, so it wouldn't be rude to...
And it's also a public bathhouse right now, so
Yeah,
it's not technically
it's
someone's
not like a
house.
person's house, right? It's
Not
like a
anymore.
bathhouse.
If they don't want
Okay.
you going somewhere, they'll just have the doors locked, presumably.
Yeah, presumably. Okay. I don't want to follow Higgins. Daniel's curious about the doors that are next to the statue.
Okay, are you gonna try the doors?
Yeah.
They're locked.
Okay.
Do you try both of them?
Yeah.
If you try both of them, the couple, like, looks up and looks over at you, and then they whisper to each other.
Daniel doesn't give a shit.
Liam just
He kind of gives a shit. He blushes embarrassed.
Liam did ask you if you wanted to look at any of the portraits.
Yeah, why not?
Where do you start? East wall? West wall?
Farthest away from the couple.
Okay, so that's going to be the west wall. So you're going to be looking at the gentleman wall. I'm going to give you one of your witness tokens for this.
Okay.
You're looking at the wall of gentlemen, and there's a couple things that you notice. One of the things that you notice is that none of the gentlemen are particularly old for these portraits. And as you kind of walk down the timeline, it seems like they get a little bit younger and younger. Like maybe towards the 1600s, mid-1600s side, there's some very elaborate portraits of men maybe into like middle age. And then as you get closer to the current era, the men seem to be more like in their 30s, in their 20s.
Uh-oh.
And also, as you get closer to the modern era, some of these gentlemen have certain features, a certain kind of light brown flyaway hair, certain softness of features. It's maybe the shape of their eyes, but there's something about them that's a little bit reminiscent of the host, whom you have only just met this evening, Nathaniel King. And so there's something in that strikes you as sort of familiar whenever you're looking at these faces.
Are you calling Nathaniel the host just because he let us in?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's acting more like a footman.
He did seem quite frenzied. He was a little bit panicked.
That's normal for him.
Yeah.
So you said that the older portraits were maybe in their like 40s or something, and then they keep getting younger and younger as time goes on. As if they're like dying younger, perhaps, or something. Daniel furrows his brows. He says, is it just me, or do they get younger as we go down the line?
You know, I think you are quite right about that. Do you think it means anything? I mean, I've had a couple of portraits painted myself, and I wouldn't blame them if they wanted to keep their youthful features.
Maybe it has become more in fashion to get a portrait when you're younger.
Could be. They go back quite a considerable ways.
I don't know the etiquette on this, but one would think perhaps they would replace it eventually with a more updated one. Maybe they never got the chance.
Well, I'll tell you about my father. My father just keeps adding them on. He has several from whenever he was back in the Navy, and then as he continues to get older, he seems to take great pleasure in just adding on more and more portraits. He doesn't ever get rid of the young ones, that's for sure.
So from what I can see, what Daniel can see, it is... This is not the case. It's all different men.
Yes.
One picture, one man.
Yes.
Daniel jokingly kind of like points at the one that looks the most like Nathaniel. Perhaps maybe the most recent one, I would assume. The most recent one. And he says, that one looks like Nathaniel, doesn't it?
My God, I think it does. A little bit in the hair, wouldn't you say?
Can I perceive if this most recent picture is Nathaniel? Or if
I mean,
it
go ahead
is
and
the
roll.
person
Yeah, go ahead and
before
roll.
him?
Is there a date on it?
It's just a portrait because I would get so anal about having to make sure I got the correct dates about like
You did
lifespans
good.
and timelines, so we're gonna say there's no date.
You did good.
Also, maybe you could just like say that the date's on the back or something.
Yeah, that's it. The date's
Yeah,
on the
sure.
back.
It'd be rude if Daniel doesn't fucking look at the back.
Daniel just takes the whole painting off the wall. Then the couple
man.
would really start whispering.
Yeah.
about it.
Stop rolling in there.
I know, right? My dice is real fond of giving me 6.
Dang.
That's a cumulative 6?
Well, I'm adding my wisdom, right?
Yeah.
So then that would be an 11.
Yeah, moderate.
For a moderate success, I'm going to say that it could just be a rich-ish white guy.
Okay,
You have really no determination on this. Let me see if Liam can help you out a little bit here. Because Liam is also looking at this.
Yeah, I did point out and say that looks like Nathaniel.
Okay, that's an 11. That's still just a moderate. That's still a moderate. So Liam is crossing his arms and he says, I really don't know. I mean...
Can we tell anything about, like, the time period of the clothing that is painted? Or is it just, like...
Yeah, that's a good... Well, let's see now. You did roll a moderate.
You can at least see the cut of the jacket and the pants and stuff.
Oh, yeah, like the cut of the jacket.
That's pretty noticeable.
Was different every decade.
Yeah, okay. Points to you. I'll give you some clues. That's a very creative question. So I'm going to say this is not 1820s or 30s clothing.
So it's not recent.
This is, I would say, more like, we'll generally say early 1800s clothing. So a little bit more Regency on the cut there.
So then Daniel calculates in his mind that maybe this is Nathaniel's father or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He has decided it's probably not actually a picture of Nathaniel. So. And then he kind of laughs, trying to think of Nathaniel standing still enough for a portrait.
Oh, bless. The couple has moved away from the
ladies,
east wall, and they're moving back over towards you as if they're going to enter the parlor.
Whoa, then I fucking move. Daniel kind of also wants to, like, dominate. I mean, like, T-pose. But, like,
what?
I mean, like, he doesn't want to be, like, frightened away by them approaching. So he stands where he just stays looking at the picture.
Yeah.
He's not going to be moved by them approaching.
Okay.
But there's a whole other east wall to explore.
He'll do that after right as soon as they move through the parlor door. Then he will go explore the east wall.
Yeah, I think that is actually a very significant character note for Daniel. Liam was about to just walk over and go check out the wall, but then he stops to wait. He puts his hands behind his back, just sort of casually, and waits for Daniel. And the couple moves past without incident. They aren't tittering behind a fan or anything. They just move right past and into the parlor.
Once it's been a few seconds since the door has closed, Daniel says, well, let's check out the ladies. Let's, and he blushes. I want to go to that wall there.
Liam chuckles and gives his arm a little slap as he's stuttering through this.
They're the only ones in the room, right?
Yeah, they're the only ones in the room right now. He gives them a little genial slap on the arm.
Daniel laughs about it because they're... Liam's the only person in the room with them, and he's a friend, so he laughs about it.
As you walk over to the ladies' side of the room, please roll a d20.
If I'm adding wisdom, that's a 10.
Gotta remember to roll for Liam as well. I'm also here. Oh, okay. I got an 18, and then nice. I can add my wisdom to that. So I'm going to say, with your moderate success, nothing about the ages really stands out to you, but you do notice something about the quality of the clothes as you're looking at the portraits. In the mid-1600s, incredibly elaborate, so much fabric, just like hella fabric all over the place, sticking out of the sleeves, poofing up the skirts, all, it's a very big social statement. And then as we continue, obviously styles do change over time, but you notice there's a little bit less elaborate style in the clothing. Still very well painted, still expertly commissioned, but a little bit less frill and fancy. And Liam says, now, Daniel, I know what I said earlier, but you might have been onto something with the ages, because the women here vary widely. We've got several women who seem to be well up into their 60s, perhaps. So it does seem a little strange that their partners on the opposite wall wouldn't have that same treatment.
Are all the portraits in their 60s?
Not all of them. There's a mix of ages. But the mix is wider.
The mix is wider.
Yeah, it's not like...
And it doesn't really follow a pattern?
No.
Okay. It's like the men are cursed.
Or women just tend to live longer.
That's very true.
That's true.
I'd like to think it's actually magic, but I also know common sense. Men have really bad ideas. Being one myself, my own life expectancy in my own hands has kind of gone down.
I'll go wrestle a boar.
I've had a few thoughts where I've really had to rein it in.
I don't feel like Nathaniel's family would wrestle boars. They don't seem like the type.
They will tell you where their room is, though.
Maybe they used to be, but not anymore. they will. And stand out in the rain.
So with the that actually brings up a very good point, and I am going to give you this piece of information because I should have delivered it to you whenever I was giving you information about the portraits with your witness token, which is that most of the men have uniforms.
So, like military uniforms?
So some of them are military uniforms. Some of them are uniforms that you can't quite, with your modern day knowledge, you can't quite figure out what the uniform is for, but there seems to be, little bands of station attached to them. So some of them are military. Some of them have some sort of other office.
Bathhouse attendant. So military and non-military occupations.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a pattern of, like, they used to be military, now they're non-military? Or is it interspersed?
I would say it's the other way around, actually.
Now they're military.
There was more of this other kinds of office that you aren't really privy to the details of at first. And then you see a little bit more of military in the middle. And then, again, it goes less military afterwards.
Well, that'd be another good reason for dying young.
Yeah, possibly.
But I want to say it's a curse.
Yeah.
Because I think that's more fun.
I think curses are fun. Do you suppose they died in the wool?
Well, that's certainly does increase your chances. Well, shall we carry on? Or do you want to spend a little more time in here?
Real quick. Is there an equal amount of men and women pictures?
Yes.
Okay, so it is like each person has a partner.
Yes.
And does it move, according to the time and the amount of pictures, does it move in a reasonable generational pace? Or is it faster, like people are dying earlier? Or is it slower, like people's lives are prolonged?
I see what you're asking. You're asking if there's like, it's only been 3 generations all the way back. I'm going to say it's a normal amount of generations to get you back to the 1600s.
Okay.
So.
You said there were 2 other doors. There's the parlor. Is that's where the couple went, and that's where Higgins went, and then there's another door?
Mm-hmm. The door that is on
what the other door is?
Nobody's mentioned what the other door is, and you haven't seen anybody go in and out of that door. That is on the east wall, on the south side of the east wall.
Daniel's curious about it, kind of like tilts his head towards it, and he says, "What do you suppose is over there?"
Well, why don't we have a little look?
I like your energy.
Right. I do like this. I'm a little bit nosy myself, so this is as good a chance as any. Okay, so you go over and you open up the door. It's not locked.
Okay.
But as you open up the door, you are met face to face with what you assume is a serving person who startles back just a little bit while they're carrying a tray of beverages.
Staff. Is it clearly like I can see like beyond them, and it's like this is like staff.
We're gonna get back to that. We're gonna put a pause on the scene with Daniel and Liam, and next episode we will resume with Adrian and Zachary examining the taxidermy hound.
Liked what you heard? Let us know by using hashtag #DandiesInDanger over on our Twitter, Insta, Tumblr, and TikTok in the listed links below. We'd love to hear any and all comments, questions, and theories as to where the story might be headed. Want to support us and our lads' adventures more directly? Then please consider clicking on the link and becoming a patron today. For just $1, you can gain access to our longer, uncensored outtakes and blooper reels. For $5, you can have access to exclusive stickers, in-world letters written by and for the lads, poetry by Adrian and Daniel, and original music from the show composed and scored by Chess Albanese. Can't afford to support directly? No problem. Podcasts survive by word of mouth, so if you like what you heard, tell your friends, family, and local graveyard ghosts all about these exciting tales. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. Dandies in Danger is written and voiced by Elijah Bergateras as Zachary Wilkos, Cass as Liam Bardsley, Chess Albanese as Daniel Pritchard, and Toast as Adrian Edwards.
It is edited by Toast. Original score and music composed by Chess Albanese. It is produced by Dandies team and made possible by listeners like you.